Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Week 4, Risen's Champions League is on your screen, and we're getting ready to jump into a very spicy match. God Squad taking on Team 21. These wins meaning more and more as we get closer to the end of the season. Of course, my name is Austin Visions Neal. Joined with me on the cat tonight is Jordan Switch Estrada. Switch, I'm super hyped. We're very familiar with one of these teams, and I can't wait to jump in towards this pro draft.
Yep, absolutely right. In fact, we may have even casted them yesterday of all teams.
Possibly.
It's God Squad on the red side, and boy, oh boy, do they have a bit of a reputation to uphold for me personally. I mean, they are a team that just seems to dominate these amateur tournaments that we end up casting a lot of visions, and it's really all down to how fantastic of an early game they sometimes put out, but really they're just world class. I don't want to say world class, actually. They're just fantastic players in general, right? They're super creative, they're super explosive, every lane can carry, and that's really what the thought comes to when you think about God Squad. It's like all these talented players all in one team, bunch of mercenaries come to get their riches or whatever.
Certainly. And we're already getting in towards some of these picks and bans that they're going to drop through. We're going to read them out for you guys. Kindred, Talia, and Cassiopeia are going to be taken off the board here for Team 21. God Squad, you're going to respond with Ornn, Kiana, and Morgana, and they're going to put priority first pick on that Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon. We describe him time and time again, Visions, as just a menace. He's just ruining everything, dude. I queue up for a game of solo queue, and then bam, this guy's on the enemy team. He's just disgusting in the laning phase, right? You just have to write him off as a deficit if you're going up against him in the top side, and you have to figure out other ways to get ahead through the lane phase, because Pantheon, once he hits that mid-game power spike, is just phenomenal, right? But he does take a good amount of skill to really hone properly, so there is that going for the side of T21. They do have to come out with very smart play, especially around the Grand Starfall, right? That's what I'm looking forward to the most, because while Pantheon does technically have a global, it's hard to execute in the right skirmishes, right? Sometimes he just falls flat on his face, unfortunately.
Yep, that certainly can be the case here, as Kale's going to be picked up with the Xayah, so some late game scaling is actually coming into play here for God Squad. So probably going to expect them to grab some early game to try and balance that out and make sure that they aren't just all relying on the late game. Look for seeking LCS to probably play something aggressive. However, Heimerdinger is going to be picked up and maybe going down towards that bot side here for T21.
Yeah, interesting stuff, as their AD carry seems like your average, typical AD carry player, right? Just playing all the popular ones, Kai'Sa, Jinx, a little bit of Caitlyn here and there as well. But the Heimerdinger is definitely an interesting pickup. The Blitzcrank as well, even more interesting, but that's going to be that. At the very least, there's going to be action in the bot side. And I think Xayah is definitely a pick that you would want to sort of mitigate all of this action here in the bot side. She's got a good amount of safety with the Feather Storm. She's got the Feather Collar as well, so just in case you need to get out of sticky situations, you do have the Snare as well. And the Rakan right next to her, exactly where he needs to be, right? Keeping her safe and making sure that she's going to get through the early game safe and sound.
That's right. And usually we talk about how good the Xayah and Rakan are in lane, but in this situation, I actually think the Heimerdinger and Blitz would want the Rakan to go in with the Grand Entrance, because it just takes the one stun on the squishy Rakan to actually blow him up, but still a great engager for playing around those neutral objectives and later in towards the mid game. As now we're going to see what else is going to come through for us in this pick ban. Phase 2 bans starting to fall. Junglers still having to be actually picked here for us unless the Pantheon's going in the jungle, so they're going to see some pinching on this, and Jarvan's going to be taken off the table here for God Squad.
I'm very surprised if you see the junglers fall this far down in terms of pick priority, because really in this current meta, it sometimes is all about what your jungler makes happen in the early game, right? It's either you're on fire and you get your lanes ahead and you're able to secure dragon after dragon and rift heralds as well, which are very important, or nothing happens, you get outscaled and you just end up not having anything good going for you once you hit that mid-game power spike. But we'll have to see what the pinches are going to be, as Gragas and J4, like you mentioned, taken off the table. I like how, at least for the side of God Squad, you already have a very potent backline, so you really just have to focus now on whether we're talking about the final soul laner or the final jungler. What sort of engage are you going to bring, as well as how is your jungler gonna power you in the early game?
That's right. And we are going to now find out what should be coming through for us, as they may have to drop down a couple tiers for as far as what they might want to actually draft here for pinching in the junglers here, just for the phase 2, and obviously the Kindred taken off the board there in phase number 1 here. But God Squad do have the pick of the litter for as far as what they want to grab themselves first, and they're actually going to go for an aggressive jungler. Graves is going to be going in the hands of Seeking LCS here. Certainly will fit his playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely, as he is quite the aggressive jungler. The real weird part about this for me, though, is once again you're lacking engage. You're lacking quite a bit of utility as well, because right now Rakan is the only hard CC really that I see for the side of God Squad, as well as you could easily be lacking damage if you fall behind for the side of God Squad. And if you're lacking damage, you're lacking engage. Well, what do you have to really turn around these team fights, right? I'm just really looking forward to what that last pickup is going to be for God Squad, and hoping it's going to bring this entire composition together. But for the side of Team 21, they have locked themselves in the Mordekaiser, supposing that would go into the mid lane, it looks like, because Olaf is being covered as well. And yep, there it is, locked in Olaf. Very strong jungler early, and could definitely go toe-to-toe with all the damage that Graves pumps out as well.
Yeah, he is, going to be able to kind of match that early pressure here for us. And we're going to see what's going to be picked up for the last pick on the table. Looks like it could be the top laner. Again, they could still flex the Kayle up there. I don't know if they want to put the Kayle in that Pantheon matchup necessarily. And it does not look like that's going to be the case. It will be Riven. And guess what? Very rarely does Riven actually make it through switch over to Undefeated One. But this is actually one of his main champions. And we are going to get display of it here in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys in the audience don't know anything about God Squad, their top laner, he's a very talented player, and he does indeed play quite a bit of Riven. So scary stuff locked in for the side of God Squad. Once again, they are lacking a bit of utility, but this really can all be covered up by the fact that if they smash the early game, it doesn't really matter. Every lane has much more damage than their opposing players, and you could just easily win team fights based off of that.
That's right. And kind of want to take a step back from the draft here and look at the bigger picture from a bird's eye view, and the teams that are playing here leading up towards the last week. Playoffs start November 17th, and here we are October 27th. So getting very, very close towards that last place position there, going up towards playoffs. And looking just at some of the records, we see Team 21 currently 2-0 in their group, have not played their last week's game. I believe that is a makeup game potentially as of right now. But God Squad sitting at 1-2, already playing 3 games, now going on the 4th. This is a crucial win. We are maybe hyping up this God Squad team because of how much we see of them and how much they're able to do, especially when they get early game leads here, Switch. But there is actually a lot riding on this match here, and we're going to see what exactly they've been able to pull together to prepare for Team 21 coming this, to see if they're going to be able to knock away that flawless record and hit them with that first loss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, God Squad, for as high as we regard them, the score doesn't exactly reflect the whole God in their name. And like you said, Team 21 as well, they have been on quite a bit of a streak, and this is going to mean a lot in terms of placements. Absolutely. And taking a look at the side of Team 21, I would just assume that they have put a good amount of preparation into this, right? Because they put mix-ups into the lanes as well as the bot duo as well. You look at the Heimerdinger Blitzcrank, this is going to play nothing like a traditional bot lane would, and it could throw off a team like God Squad, as well as perhaps the Pantheon and the Mordekaiser. We don't see too much of them because honestly, Pantheon's banned a lot. Mordekaiser is in a weird state right now, but they could easily get the better of God Squad in this game, and it really all comes down to how your early game is shaping up. I'm expecting great things from Seeking LCS, but I definitely do have to give it to the more traditional Olaf pick on this one. I think he's going to have a much easier time really getting the ball rolling for his team.
That's right. And plus, it's, he has the gank assist already built in towards the kit just for himself, even if he's attacking a lane that maybe doesn't have that much gank assist. But, luckily for him, just about every single lane does. Every single lane has some kind of CC, some point and click CC here. Looking at the Pantheon could be a great start, as it does appear that the Pantheon will actually be going towards the mid lane up against the Kayle. And that was almost a matchup it looked like they were maybe trying to avoid, but it's going to be something that Herson's now put in regardless. And so, maybe we are looking towards the jungler for relieving some of that pressure, allowing Kale to hit some of those high points and get towards those very key levels before she does come online and just output all of that damage.
Yeah, Kale does actually spike up pretty early nowadays. Feels like level 11, like we saw maybe yesterday visions. It's level 11 and you're already pumping out a huge amount of damage, especially when people are opting for this AP build that gives you a good amount of burst as well, right? Lichbane, Hextech Gunblade as well are just beautiful items for the Kale to utilize. So once again, it's just about getting out of the lane phase. And I think for the side of Team 21, whatever lane Kale goes into, they're going to send the Pantheon towards there, right? It's just a beautiful matchup where you have a super aggressive Pantheon going up against a Kale who should be giving up a lot of that early game pressure, and it's going to amount to more activity, you would assume, for the side of Team 21 when it comes to the rotations that the Pantheon can actually execute on.
Absolutely. Looking for that and looking for the roams, shoving in the Kale, like you were just talking about. That is absolutely what we're going to be keeping our eyes on here. And, to kind of touch on exactly what I am going to keep my eyes on, we typed him up a little bit earlier in the draft, but undefeated one on the Riven, really on one of his signature champions that actually we don't get to see that often. I've actually probably casted it with you, Switch, maybe once or twice because of how little we do get to see this man's champion pool with some of these high regarded champions in League of Legends, and Riven being one of them. Once you are mechanically invested in a champion like that, you can run over your games, and we'll have to watch out for this, see if he's going to get the jungle attention that is required in order for him to stop the Mordekaiser, see if he's going to be able to do it. But either way, lots of spiciness here for game number one, a lot of variables, and I like the draft here for both of these teams.
Big mix-ups across the board, and finally that does lead us down to the bot side. Once again, this is going to play nothing like you imagine it's going to play out. I mean, Heimerdinger, Blitzcrank, it's really just lying and waiting for that gank assist to come through, or that Pantheon ultimate to come through, and then you have the beautiful setup into the Blitzcrank. You're going to bring the fight towards your Heimerdinger towers, and that's exactly where you want it to be, as well as just bringing a good amount of just solid, consistent AP when we go to those team fights that could get quite explosive, right? There's so many carries running around, and I think for the side of Team 21, they just want to get to the punch first. They want to arrive at the party first. They want to get a lot of work done so that the side of God Squad do not get the option of really kiting out. Because if you look at the composition, if they're able to kite out, if they're able to utilize the range of Graves, Kale, and Xayah, they will eventually out DPS you. But it's all just about getting there first to the punch, making decisive engages with the Pantheon, with the Olaf, with the Mordekaiser, and getting out, making it quick and easy.
Absolutely. And right before we throw it to a little bit of a break here, guys, we do want to give a big shout out to an upcoming tournament that will be dropping very, very soon. Coming up for us, we are going to just give you the layout on the details here. And Risen is going to be participating in Extra Life again. Extra Life is an organization that brings gamers together to raise money for local children miracle network hospitals. Last year, we raised a little over $1,000. That's our goal again. Well, guess what? I think we can do better than that, guys. We can hit over $1,000. I believe in the gaming community. Donators will receive access to random drawings for prizes. We'll be taking donations until the end of November. And Nice Cactus, of course, will be the ones that are hosting that 5v5 tournament with Bloody Gaming, and lots of sponsors, lots of prizes are going to be taking place for rewards in that tournament. So make sure you guys tune into that. Go over to Nice Cactus, sign up if you want to participate, and donate if you want to help out a great cause. For now, we're going to get ready to throw it to a break for our first match of the night. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in our game. We are on Summoner's Rift. Week 4 is now on the horizon. God Squad taking on Team 21 as we break out of the map here. And, well, they get a Blitzcrank here switch. And looks like they're going to be going in for a potential invade. And Undefeated One might just be the target.
That's all right, Visions. Can you even blame them? It's the lovely Blitzcrank invade. They just demand so much respect, and that's going to mean Undefeated One. And I had to walk away from that one. Everyone's got to just make space, make way. Just let them do what they want. Nobody gets hurt. Oh, well.
Oh,
all right.
Someone almost got hurt, but quick movement there. Undefeated One not going to get locked up from that Blitzcrank hook, and now it looks like everyone is just going to walk themselves out. Braves, of course, dropping the early ward, going for the reset in towards the sweep is something we are seeing more and more. 3 members, though, actually waiting here on the red buff, and there's a ward just by that Raptor camp, meaning that if Seeking LCS does come here for a leashless play on towards his red buff, he might actually pay for it with his life, and he is walking over towards it. This doesn't look good.
This does not look good, but it could just mean that with all their hesitation, it could mean that they actually predict that it's happening and they want to contest it but not spot it out yet. There's Undefeated One checking.
He might have to flash here. He's getting a little bit low. Undertoad's going to find his mark. Ignite ticking down. He's going to take the blast gun over the wall. He does still have his flash. He just now have to use it. The spear, though, not going to find his mark. Wait, LTS, though, he's trying to 1v3. I don't think that's going to work out in your favor. And God Squad already off to a horrendous start.
Rough stuff coming through, and good job from T21 to stick to their plan. They end up getting 2 summoners for their troubles, as well as that initial buff, or rather, they actually haven't even gone for the buff. They're taking their time, going for just the Raptors, the safer of the jungle camps, and now you're going to see Cuz now wrap back over to the red buff. So once again, smart stuff, big victory overall, and this is going to initiate the vertical jungling, the buzzword of 2018, where it is going to mean that Olaf is going to have free reign over this top side. Undefeated One is going to have to play much more passively, but in return, you are going to have Seeking LCS able to rotate quicker down to this bot side here.
Definitely have to watch for what he decides to do in this early game, as Hurson's still under fire, but does have that klepto and has some of those biscuits as well, so should be able to stay healthy enough. But Gibbs already opened up to go for some of this roaming and can help to assist his jungler in grabbing some of these early scuttle crabs. As all 3 camps were just taken in the top side of the map, so we're going to see exactly what Seeking LCS tries to do for himself in this early game. Looks like he will be able to grab himself the golems at the very least, but top is opened up to a potential dive if he decides to go for it. Undefeated One fairly healthy, so I don't think he will, so he's just going to settle for the scuttle crab here in the top side.
Lots of things moving around right now. You can see the Blitzcrank Squee just checking around, seeing what's up and available to feed that information back over to his jungler. Now looking towards the mid side, once again, we're seeing what we predicted. Gibbs has a bit more leeway here in this lane, so he's going to be able to rotate first. You've got to be careful with where exactly you're placing yourself. If you're seeking LCS on the Graves, he's now going to be moving back to his own jungle, but maybe the Scuttle is the target for both. They're going to clash over by the bot side river. Bot lane's rotating as well, and the top side, bit of a skirmish.
Directed camera thinks this is more important. Maybe it just might be, as you're going to get some Conquer stacks. Undefeated One, though, nice sidestep, and now the cooldown is opened up for him to potentially find an opening, as he is now going to go in for it. Does not find the stun with the W, but either way, doing pretty well for not having the flash here on the top side and having a little bit of a rough start and getting towards that lane. Although he still does have his teleport, so just in case he does need to come back to lane or make a play around the map, he does have access to that here. But a very slow start towards some of the explosive games that we typically do see here for God Squad. But at any point in time, things can open up, and already you can see he's trading now. Fairly low, actually in some trouble potentially. That Ignite is just coming back up for Gibbs, so he is in kill threat.
You are playing a balancing act if you're the KO in the mid lane, right? You're trying to go for blow with the Pantheon so that when you utilize your teleport, when you reset, it's going to give you a big HP advantage. It's going to force the Pantheon to go back himself. But once again, CS seems to be reasonable for the most part. You see Undefeated One falling behind maybe 5, maybe even 10 at this point, but I'm sure it's nothing that's going to break your bank account by any means. And catching up with the mid laners.
This looks good.
Does look good.
Does have the shield up, so we'll be neglecting a lot of damage, but still getting the flash, and that is massive because now Herson should be able to get himself a free reset off the map here, and we're not going to see anything there from Cuz to be able to get himself in. He is actually going to appear on the map and shove the wave back in, but Herson has a teleport, so it's just going to be a reset, most likely coming through here for Gibbs.
Yeah, there's the retaliating roams as well, Cuz gonna impact that mid side. Really wants the damage. So close, actually, to killing Harrison, but this is absolutely going to force Harrison to use that teleport that we talked about earlier.
That's right.
Gibbs as well, quite low though, so both mid laners are going to have to back here. Undefeated one as well, putting some damage down that top side.
He is putting some damage down, but falling a little bit behind in CS here at this point in time and in this moment. While that's happening, Cuz looks like this might be an opening for him to just go for the air dragon. Like you said, they have the pushing priority in the bot side. They know that Person did just reset with a teleport here, so this is exactly what you said. Beautifully done here. They're gonna grab themselves a free air dragon in the early game.
It was almost like they predicted seeking LCS on the Graves would catch the mid wave, because you don't want to give up valuable resources like early game minions. So beautiful stuff. They are early to launch, and hang on, there's a Death Realm.
This could be a solo kill, first blood, and it will be. Gets them in the Death Realm, has the level 6 advantage, and that's gonna be a solo kill undefeated one.
Bit of
mid lane
respect lacking from undefeated one on the top side, and that's just the taunts coming out. The teleport from Theo on the Heimerdinger, flash forward as well, but that is overly ambitious and not gonna net him anything. But let's really go back to that top lane subject, because that was really just lack of respect from Undefeated one, right? The teleport was coming out from the Mordekaiser. Knew Mordekaiser was level 6 as well, but at the end of the day, gets caught up in the Death Realm. And, well, when you're in the Death Realm, sometimes you do end up dying.
Yeah, certainly is the case in this situation, and now even further behind. Is Undefeated one, after having a little bit of a difficult start, is able to at least invest that teleport to get himself back towards lane. He does have his flash to make a play of his own, and he does have that ultimate advantage here for a little bit. So have to watch for that potential 1v1 that might just break out again. The Rome might actually be making a play in the mid lane here. That's going to be beautiful. The bot lane has actually been here for a while, and we actually see Cuz, you know, defending against the Lovers duo, but they're looking for a play, looking for that engage. Could be a flash play here. From Undefeated one, he's going to land that third Q, and that will be the ultimate. Isn't that enough? Person is going to be able to find that kill, even things up on the board 1-1 in this game, and actually Cuz in some trouble. He's going to make a flash play. Jamaican Banana gets himself out, and they are going to find the jungler here down in the bot side as well. That kill over towards the AD carry.
Yeah, Heimerdinger and Blitzcrank now roaming, but it's just an afterthought for the side of God Squad, as they are walking away with 2 prizes, the 2 kills that they got in the bot in the mid lane. Brilliant stuff after what was a very early siege being executed from the side of Team 21.
That's right. It's almost like the teleport got invested here from the Heimerdinger, and he just felt like, you know, he had to stay and make something off of it. But while that was happening, you know, a CS lead still in favor of Blake at this point in time. Did grab some plating of their own and found themselves a kill. So overall, you know, it's not the worst trade, but not the best trade. And now we're at the situation where the gold lead has actually favored God Squad here, just by about 500 in this early game as we close in on 9 minutes.
Right. In total, definitely was not what you want to see from the side of Team 21, but again, to further your point, gold very close to even here. 500 is not a lot here in this very, very early game, so not too big of a deal. The blue buff being stolen, because if you recall, that blue buff should have been guaranteed to Seeking the LCS, but once again, lots of resources invested in a very aggressive early game for the side of Team 21. They get themselves another buff. Now you're just wondering what to do with your time now as Seeking LCS. He's heading over to be very early for this enemy blue buff, but Herson's backing here. He doesn't have teleport. This is going to mean a lot of time free for the Pantheon. We'll have to see what the mid jungle duo of Team 21 does decide to do.
That's right, and I almost want to take a second, you know, if our producer can actually make the map go black here and just kind of show the vision that we can see at this point in time. You just see a crazy amount of vision in favor, all blue. Look at that blue quadrant jungle right there. This bot lane is so exposed. A Lover duo that, you know, is struggling to walk up. At least they do have the ability to shove this wave out, but you can just see Jamaican Banana having to walk in just to make sure there's no one behind them right now, but he's just completely walking over a crazy amount of wards at this point in time, and they have full vision on where the Graves is, right, and they should have an idea of where he will be going. So this is just actually really nice setup, protecting the bot lane and trying to make sure that there's no roams or anything along those lines coming through along the river.
And that really is a big call back to the blue buff invade that we saw just about a minute and a half ago.
Exactly.
Really, that's the benefit of bringing your support with your jungler and invading, right? It's not just the jungler invading, it's the support able to put wards down as well. And while we were discussing the past, it looks like the side of Team 21 have their eyes set on the future. Rift Herald secured for themselves.
That's right. Goalie, though, still a little bit in favor of God Squad as they're going to go in for the charm into the grand entrance here. Looking like it should just be a free kill. One more auto should do it. Maybe not. And actually,
nice
they do get it. And that's going to be a nice Feather Storm. Now, 1v2 in the top side. He's going to bring the Graves in towards the Death Realm. Seeking LCS actually getting fairly low here. That does dodge that empowered Q. And now, what if he didn't want does have his back? Is he going to get out? Yes, he will. But the mid lane is being broken open. Switch. They got the first tower gold and they're looking for tier 2.
And this is going at way too fast of a pace right now for God Squad. They have no one to defend this mid side, and Harrison being 1v1'd.
Divine Judgment's going to come down, and Herson is going to be able to delete the jungler. He goes in all alone, and he pays for it with his life. Herson has to be able to dodge that Q. Does get hit by it, but it's healthy enough to keep himself alive. But they got 2 towers in the mid lane for that play that broke open in the top side.
Yeah, this is not something easy to calculate. It's honestly anyone's guess who really came out ahead when all was said and done. 2 towers is massive for the early game, especially when we're talking about mid towers. Hang on, as God Squad want to find another skirmish. Gibbs is just about dead to rights.
Yeah, he's got nowhere to go, and this is probably going to open up for this Infernal Dragon that they were just setting up for. That is a massive misplay from Gibbs, giving over his life here. They are going to actually potentially go for this. They use the Hemer ultimate.
Wow.
Now something else. Yeah, still on the Dragon, but it's going to be the AD carry of the team. Blake securing it. They're still pressing forward like they want to take a fight. Neck is going to be leading that charge, but quickly has to back away, and they get themselves an Infernal Dragon here, which is going to be crucial, and a nice play from God Squad to find that pick.
Yeah, the result, though, might be a response tower taking for the side of Team 21 as they're trying to put resources down here, but wave clear is still available, right? You still chalk this over to a win for the side of God Squad because Infernal Drake, we talked about this actually yesterday, but it's such a fantastic tool in the hands of a team like God Squad. When they're ahead, when they're confident, they can win team fights. They will go for it every time.
That's the engage. They're going all in. Undefeated one leading the charge. The wind flash, though, is going to go wide. Now pressing forward is Blake. He's going to grab himself one. The jungler grabbing the other. Gedek, he's got nowhere to go. And Undefeated one claims a second life down in the bot side. They pressed for the tower, but it's God Squad that answered back with 3 kills.
Yeah, it's beautiful engages coming out from God Squad. They utilized the Recon engage, utilized the mobility from Undefeated one, and it was just cleaned up past that point. Now, just the spoils of war to be taken right now inside the God Squad. Once again, beautiful play overall. They invest tons of members. They already have 1 Infernal Dragon in their pocket, and they're up 4,000 gold, 3.5 rather, as this looks to be shaping up to be a very aggressive game for God Squad. That's a cute pull, but at the end of Starfall as well. That's
they're actually investing a little bit into this. Gibbs is going to be leading the charge. They have not reset, but that lovers duo is still always very aggressive and dangerous. So they don't want to take that fight any further than they just did, and there are still 4 stacks up in the bot side. While that's happening, Undefeated one, he's just going to be hammering on this tower, potentially looking to drop yet another one.
Yeah, Blake once again forced to not recall here. He's going to have to stay and try and wave clear this all alongside Herson. Got to watch the pull as the tower is getting lower and lower, but Gibbs getting punished on this one. That's a lot of damage.
Divine Judgment is going to be there just in time. Feather Storm going to come down. Here comes the teleport. Gedek is joining.
Undefeated one.
Undefeated one used the teleport as well. He's in the backside, but now he is isolated. He's going to go on the support, but he's taken into the death realm. Now he's forced to fight the 1v1 while the team is around him. It looks like he might just go down. The shutdown does go through. Blake is going to get pulled in, and he's going to be taken and shut down by the Heimerdinger as they're going for more. The Ragnarok's going to be fraught. Tiki LCS trying to stay alive, but Herson will save his jungler. It's going to be a 2 for 3 and in favor of God Squad once again.
Yeah, once again, blow for blow, but God Squad just barely edge out of that one, getting the 1-man advantage. And the problem is right now for Team 21, I don't know if this is the solution to the problem. I don't know if just going for team fight after team fight is really going to make something like a lead happen in favor for you, right? They're going to need to get much more creative with their setups as opposed to late grand starfalls and just walking up to your opponent's tower to really find themselves a beneficial team fight. Right now, this is not doing them any favors.
It is not. At this point in time, gold lead built up. Excellent play from God Squad to be able to transition this early game lead, heading in towards this mid game. Towers, though, in favor of Team 21 at this point in time. We're going to see potential hook come into play, but Blake has now made that rotation towards the top side, and he does have Jamaican Banana close nearby to back him up. He's going to get pulled in. The Death Realm not going to be available just yet as they're going to land a good amount of damage there on towards Kadek, and now he is actually going to be in a bit of trouble if he doesn't actually reset or call for help. You can even see Seeking LCS making his way to protect that Lovers duo.
Yeah, lots of pressure put into the top side for God Squad. Once again, they're trying to make quick work of this top tower because they need to eventually rotate back down towards the bot side to start securing, to start prepping the securing of the Infernal Drake. That's quick work of the tower like you were talking about, and quick to pull the trigger on that regard. Blake actually staying a little longer. Let's not forget he does have teleport, but no, it's actually just to join up with Rakan on that one. Herson.
Whoa!
Wow, that was pixel away from death for Herson.
Yeah.
But that could have been tremendously bad as well, right? This Infernal Drake is only 20 seconds away, but whew, man.
That's right, that pick literally could have meant that Dragon going over to Team 21 would be a massive one, as one already has been collected for God Squad. Now they're going to be walking in as 4, undefeated one making his way down to make sure that they can have priority over this Dragon. Herson now healed up a little bit and will be making his way over as he clears up some towers, but here comes the engage. Jamaican Banana going to lead the charge. They're going to find the top laner, but he's going to pull one towards the Death Realm with him. It's actually going to be Jamaican Banana. This will be massive if he can find this pick. He tries to flash away, trying to buy time. It's going to be limited, and it's not enough. As Seeking LCS will find the kill, but undefeated one will be the quick trade. Both top laners have been eliminated from this fight thus far. Blake still very aggressive. As the damage, the grenades do not hit its mark, as they're going to try and drop some towers. 4 members strong for both of these teams, but here comes
Starball
looking to go in towards the backside. Gonna find Blake, but can they find the kill in time? The shield is not enough to block the damage. Seeking LCS will fall. Ragnarok has been procced here, but it looks like it might be a limited time for him. It is. Blake finds himself the fits of the game. God Squad yet again with another fight, and the Infernal Dragon will yet again be the reward.
Yes, so close. What a bloodbath of a team fight as it was getting down to the wire. A bold move from Gibbs on the Pantheon to Starfall into the composition of God Squad, but at the end of the day, does seem to fall flat on his face in that regard, and this is just going to be God Squad secured yet another Infernal, and going in their direction ever further.
Such a crazy team fight game that we've gotten so far, but every single time it's just gone the way of God Squad, and Team 21 still trying to stand toe to toe, but they just don't have the items yet. This Pantheon, hasn't been snowballing. We talked about how that, can be one of the massive picks here, but is not online, only sitting on one item, having to go even in towards the Tiamat here to have a little bit extra wave clear. Even you see the amount of pressure that they are under. Kadek even a little bit worried to walk up to the wave, and he should be, because, well, he's got 2 members collapsing on him, has no ultimate. Let's have that flash. He's going to get in towards the smoke screen. Should be just an amount of time, a good amount of damage. Undefeated one even had that wind flash just in case he did go for that flash there, but that's going to be another pick, and that's going to be another kill there over towards Seeking LCS.
Certainly what I would consider overkill, as it seems like God Squad, would you believe it, with 2 Infernals, they seem to be having maybe too much damage for their own good in this regards. A lot of threats now starting to come online, right? Let's take a look at Herson. Almost 2 full items in, just so close to that Lich Bane. You've got Blake, that's been the recipient of the most gold currently for the side of God Squad, so no problems there. And undefeated one, definitely standing tall on his own as well. It's just a lot of threats that he's going to make it a big problem for these team fights for Team 21 as a whole. The bot lane tower getting very close to dying, but perhaps a bit too overambitious in that regard. They're going to have to back off for the most part. And man, Visions, next dragon, would you guess it? It's actually going to be an Infernal.
Imagine that. Imagine that triple
in a
Inferno
God Squad game. Oh,
Yes.
this is.
I think he might have DC'd here. Looks like that was the case. Hurston does not care. Kill is a kill, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess he's going to grab that kill as he gets himself 5 kills now and has a massive shutdown goal. But I think that was a DC.
You just had no remorse for that one. Patience.
You're down 1-2. You got to get every win you can get.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. No one's going to cry for you if you don't make it to playoffs. It's up to you to just get there yourself and get the results, right? Especially if it was a ranked game. I have no remorse. But sometimes when you're in one of those quick play games and you know the Sona's DC, you're like, oh, maybe I'll just let him live this time.
Maybe. It's something that crosses my mind occasionally, but
wow. You seem to sleep well at night, though.
I sleep perfectly great. But back in towards this game, which is not looking great for Team 21. Luckily, it's a best of 3. This looks like this might be another pick here. No Zanya is available. There is a flash. Is he going to invest it? He is, but Blake is going to read it there. Flashing first and is going to have enough damage. And with that pick, they could actually potentially look for the Baron or this mid lane tower.
Not a moment of hesitation in that gank, as that was quick work done. Blake, once again, with another kill in his pocket. 6-1-4. He's having himself a game. And it's going to get better every single team fight, it feels like. That engage is spread out, but here we go.
He's going to bring the Rakan in towards the Death Realm. He's going to look to find the support yet again, but this is not the play you want to make. And now Kadek is left isolated. The team is going to be behind him. That's going to be on the one to lead the charge, but a nice hook is going to find a shutdown. Gribbs is actually going to be the one to claim his second kill of the game. Zeke LCS finds a massive ultimate and actually is kiting everything out. The Grand Entrance is going to find one. Zeke LCS very much still alive as they're pressing aggressive still. And Hurston is going to be backing up his team finally. But they have already found themselves 2 kills for 1.
Yeah, and in the backdrop of all of that, in the bot lane, it was actually Hurston securing a tower, then teleporting over to the mid lane. Bit fashionably late in that regard, but was he even really needed? God Squad seemed to have it all taken care of. You could see so much damage, once again, being pumped out from the Graves and the Xayah. It's so difficult to walk into God Squad and force fights right now. The problem is, you've got 3 bruisers on the side of Team 21, and they are being... It's so apparent that they're becoming ever so squishy versus all the damage that God Squad is pumping out. 20 seconds to the next Inferno, and I don't think this is one that Team 21 can afford to give up.
That's right. It's getting a little bit out of hand here as the TP is going to be invested from Blake. He's now in the fight, almost has that 3rd item completed there with that Infinity Edge. That would be the massive power spike on top of 3 Infernals. It would just be almost too much to even handle.
This is going to burn. This dragon is going to drop in an instant if God Squad wanted to go that way. And you can see the wrap around from the bot side as well. Heimerdinger in the bot, but the engage is here.
Ragnarok popped a little bit late, and now Cuz is completely chunked out. They could maybe go for a steal with an ability.
Okay.
That would be a nice pull there from the Mordekaiser. But everyone's still very strong. You can't take up all that damage, and Blake is going to find you. Undefeated one finds the second. Cuz no longer having that Ragnarok is going to be forced to flash away, but the triple Infernal has already been actually coming through for them. And this looks like another pick. Gibbs, he's got nowhere to go. He can't take that damage. Hurston claims himself another kill. 3 members go down. Triple Infernal is going to be secured, and God Squad is so much in the driver's seat.
And that honestly just feels like a terrible foreshadowing for what's to come now. So much damage when God Squad actually want to pump it out. You could see Kadek melting on the Mordekaiser, Theo as well on the Heimerdinger. The problem is for the Heimerdinger right now, you're really just not given the seconds that you need to pump out the damage. And God Squad, well, it's 3 Infernals. I expected it to be quick, but that was a bit quicker than I expected. Didn't really matter though, because was there even a chance that Team 21 could contest that? I personally think not.
And look at this. Look at some of the items getting ready to come through. I think Blake is just waiting a little bit of gold to grab himself that Infinity Edge here. And that would be the massive 300 power spike here at 25 minutes with triple Infernal. There it is. Infinity Edge now on Blake. And this is where you are pretty much ready to just run it down, literally run it down mid. And it does not matter like you are just able to just shred through this team, because who's going to absorb this damage? Like, there is no one. Blitzcrank might be able to absorb a bit, but he's going to get absolutely shredded. There is just so much damage. Over a 10,000 goal we built up for God Squad. Like, this is looking like game number 1 is just about in the bag.
And you mentioned it earlier in the Big and Bad phase, Visions, the scaling. It started with the Kale. We then saw the Zaya, the Graves locked in. So much scaling. And right now you can definitely feel the range disparity and a bit of the lack of engage coming in for the side of Team 21. It would be beautiful if they had something like a Malphite or an Ornn ultimate to work with, but no, it actually takes much more finesse than that, and it's much easier for it all to fall apart. But here in the top side, what just happened?
This could be the pick, though, down here. If that could actually find this 1v1,
okay.
It's not going to be the case. The Wind Flash is going to find the execute, as when Hurston's going to be dealing damage, baby.
Monster.
He's online. 3 members go down here for Team 21. The base going to be broken open at 25 minutes and 55 seconds, and they're going for the inhibitor as well.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Kale has reached late game status at 26 minutes into the game. It would appear to be that way, as the Nexus Tower is becoming the target now for God Squad. They're trying to put the finishing touches on a game that they have worked hard to make happen.
This is surely going to be it here. Level 16 hasn't even hit for Hurston, so not even at its final form by any means. And they're going to have potentially one last potential push to defend here, but the minions are way too much. They're going to go in, but the Nexus is just going to be the target. They're going to grab themselves game number 1, a much-needed game for God Squad here, trying to take down the undefeated Team 21 that's at 2-0, and well, they are off to an excellent start.
Yeah, an excellent start was also the story of this game, I suppose you could say, because that was at one point 1-9 in terms of the kill scoreboard. It looked like God Squad never really lost grip of the game overall. It seemed to be smooth sailing. They got to that mid-game point where you get 2 complete items on your AD carry, your mid laner. Undefeated one was also having a big impact for the little gold that he was given.
That's right.
And overall, just so many threats. It's felt like a God Squad game, but Team 21, for all the unique stuff they pulled out, couldn't really make it stick.
Yeah, they didn't get the golds, really rolling on some of the champions that we talked about that could take over the game. Olaf gets the lead. He is looking great and able to maybe even skirmish seeking LCS there before he gets some of those items. Same thing with Gibbs. I think the idea of this draft was to try and use Gibbs to play to the side lanes and just try and stomp some of these lanes out, build the lead, and snowball that way. But it was just completely shut down. The level 1 did actually look fairly great there from them. But, besides that, it just almost kind of went slowly downhill. But luckily for them, it is a best of 3, and they tried something out in game number 1, which I respect. But now I would like to see them maybe go to something a little bit more standard, more traditional heading towards game number 2.
True enough. I couldn't agree more with you. This composition is definitely an unorthodox one, but the problem is if you lose grip and you're not allowed to play the game that you want, once again, it does just sort of scale for quite a bit for the side of God Squad. So unfortunate stuff, but you're absolutely right that this is just game 1, and there's still a lot more of this series hopefully to play. And I would personally love to see Kadek on a different pick, or at the very least getting more resources than he actually did receive, because the Mordekaiser in his hands looked quite potent. It looked to be controlling some of the early game team fights. The problem is, at the end of the day, it was lacking in every other regard. The side of Team 21, right? You're expecting to have a better jungler performance next game. You're expecting to have a better bot lane performance as well, because although the Heimerdinger did exist, and yes, some pulls were pivotal, overall it really couldn't sway it into the way of Team 21.
That's right. Didn't go their way for game number 1, but have the chance to keep this flawless record alive. But they're going to have to do it in game number 2 and game number 3. But for now, we're going to find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to set up game number 2 here for Risen Champs League. Again, God Squad up 1-0 in the series, going up against Team 21 that has actually remained flawless thus far in towards the season. But God Squad really bringing it to them today, realizing they have to step it up if they want a chance at making it to playoffs and making that run. Either way, the ban starting to already come out for us on the table here. Switch, Orn and Kiana going to be taken away, as well as that Heimerdinger, and Kale and Kindred will be the response thus far.
Yeah, the Heimerdinger taken on the table. I think God Squad don't want to work with any funny business this time around. The Kale as well. Well-deserved ban, because you look back to that game 1, Pantheon versus Kale, you're hoping, if you're anyone that likes Team 21, you're like, great, this Pantheon, he's gonna smash the Kale, right? He's just gonna wreck him. I mean, Herson didn't even have to blow his teleport strictly because of the Pantheon, right? He was going toe-to-toe, he was going blow for blow. And when he finally got ganked, that's when he needed to use the get out of jail free card that was the teleport. On the other hand, though, sometimes the Pantheon pick last game, you really couldn't feel the presence enough. Wasn't quite popping off as much as you had hoped. And this time around, you're at least hoping if the Pantheon does come back, it's got a different lane matchup.
Yeah, you would certainly expect it to maybe have a little bit of a better matchup to do exactly that, stomp the lane. But at least coming out here with a little bit of a change in towards the bot side for Team 21 will be the Morgana and Caitlyn, known for being a very strong, notorious bot lane. However, the Lovers duo is up on the table here, but we have seen that Fiddlesticks on that support player switch, and could potentially come out, and it will.
Visions, I love this Fiddlesticks pick. Now that I have seen the light that is God Squad support, Jamaican Banana on the Fiddlesticks. See, here's the thing. Visions, if you get the perfect engage with Fiddlesticks, he's like a whole nother carry that you didn't have prior. You know, he's in the support role, but if he actually gets a really efficient ultimate, he can just turn team fights around into your favor. It's another factor that allows skill expression for the side God Squad, which sounds like a match made in heaven, right? Skill expression and God Squad. It's just, it makes so much sense. The result here has been, though, for the side of Team 21, they have gone for the J4 instead. Definitely a reasonable pickup for their jungler, Cuz has played quite a bit of Jarvan. But really, the bigger story here is the the call back to orthodox bot lanes, which is the Caitlyn Morgana. It could theoretically go toe-to-toe with the strong AD carry like Xayah.
It definitely could. However, I think this is the exact same matchup that Blake and Jamaican Banana actually ran in towards the Morgana and Caitlyn. I'm pretty sure. So this must just be some kind of a counter that he believes that plays super well in towards it. So we're going to keep our eyes on it yet again. However, the rest of the picks and bans already taking play amongst us, as we're going to get some mid lane bans coming through. The Talia is going to be taken off the table. Mordekaiser from the last game will not be coming back out for us. And now the hover over the Syndra taken away potentially as well.
Yeah, it's just waiting to see what the solo laners are. We did note that post-game, game 1, you really did want to see Kadek, for the strong player that he was, going toe-to-toe with the undefeated one on his Riven. You did want to see him on definitely a more carry-oriented pick, so I'm hoping side of Team 21 draft themselves a carry top side, but we'll have to see what happens. As the Zoe looking to be the final ban here. Just solo laners left to be picked up.
Certainly will be the case. In the last game, it was the junglers that were pinched out very hard. This time around, the mid laners, like you just mentioned. So having to go maybe deeper into that pool, Team 21 do have that ability to actually hold off and save that counter pick here, either for the top lane or for the mid lane. So we are going to see what exactly they want to have priority over, but they are taking their sweet time, as they might just be talking about some of the things that might go well with this. Orianna into the Jarvan, you know, potentially could be a good pick, but they are actually going to settle here with LeBlanc and save that top lane pick here for the last one.
Yeah, LeBlanc going to be coming out first. Blind picked as well. Could leave room for Herson to pick a much more passive and, you could say, enduring mid laner, right? You just want to weather the storm that is the LeBlanc in the early game and come back stronger. Seemingly what you would expect to do with the Kale, but I'm thinking Galio is still on the table, could potentially work around this side. Well, the result is, though, God Squad has drafted a Renekton, and you're thinking that one might just go over to the side of undefeated one.
Yeah, I would certainly imagine so. It's another one of the champions that he loves to play. Lane dominating champions is kind of one of the things that he likes to go for. And while we see that from time to time, the last game he had a really good way of stabilizing that lane there. And now the Oriana that I was talking about that might be picked up for
Ooh.
Team 21 might actually just come through here for God Squad themselves. And looks like that will actually be the case.
Definitely a lot of skill expression and interesting matchup mechanics here for the Oriana and LeBlanc. You want to really keep in mind what the ball placement is if you're playing as LeBlanc. You don't want to warp back to your pad and then get hit with a big old shockwave, right? That's definitely not how you want to play out that matchup. So gonna have to take some high skill play from both sides. And the Garen going to be the last one here, the nuisance himself. Yes, he's back by popular demand as he's arriving here in the top side. And I like the matchup overall. The only problem that I have here for the side of Team 21 is I would have loved to see a top laner that scaled better than the Renekton, because we know that that's one of Renekton's flaws is, yes, he does pack a punch in the early game. Yes, he does give you a lot of presence, but he eventually goes on to stun bot, frontline duty. But even then, I mean, Undefeated One is such a remarkable player, and he seems to work his way around these flank TPs and these flank engages as well, that he could make the Renekton work even in the late game. But really just wondering what the Garen pick is going to really bring out here for the side of Team 21.
Yeah, that's kind of the question, especially if it doesn't get that much attention, because Undefeated One has won this matchup before, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on Kadek here after coming off of a little bit of a shaky Mordekaiser game. I think he ulted the support in a lot of the cases there, which is not usually what you want to do with the Mordekaiser. You want to be able to grab the carry, shut down the carry, eliminate him from the fights, and that just was not simply the case there in towards our last game here. But this is their chance to redeem themselves. Again, this is a team that is currently 2-0, has not lost, and we have to kind of give them some credit for that. God Squad had a very good stabilization in the early game in game number 1 to be able to actually bounce back and do what needed to be done with their composition, and got the correct items on the correct players, and eventually they just steamrolled. I'm sure the triple Infernal Dragon didn't hurt at all, but either way, it's something that we do have to keep our eyes on now, is because it is a standard composition that is coming through for Team 21, and now it's going to be about who can really play the team fights better, who could play this laning phase better, and transition that lead in towards the mid game.
Yeah, very true. With all these wacky picks, the Heimerdinger in the bot side, the Pantheon in the mid side as well. Without some of these, I'd say rarer picks, now we can see what Team 21 will work with a standard composition, right? They have a strong early game. They definitely aren't lacking presence in any of their lanes. So you're going to see maybe some of these early game team fights be much more evenly match up. That's really where it fell apart for the side of Team 21 as well, right? 1-9, maybe 10 minutes into the game of game 1. That definitely wasn't a good look. The Infernal Drakes, once again, like you mentioned earlier, was not a good look as well. And you really couldn't see all of potentially what Team 21 could offer. But this team, this composition that they have locked in for themselves, does seem to allow them a bit more room to showcase what they have in terms of strategies and in terms of mechanical play.
Yeah, and I mean, Seeking LCS also one of those champions that he is going to be able to make early game plays with, right? I think this is something that we don't see too often, but when we do see it, it can be great for setup here. But the big one that I'm kind of looking for as far as punish is got to be the mid lane, right, for Oriana. Like, yeah, we touched on it a little bit, but the LeBlanc has some great poke that's able to try and shut down the Oriana, especially through the first couple levels, and able to really shut that champion down until she gets a second item. Really is when that Oriana really starts to kind of come online with that shockwave combo with her W. But either way, the Jarvan able to really get on top of her, forcing the flasher with the Cataclysm. If she does not have the flash, then it's almost a guaranteed kill. So I'm going to be watching for that and seeing if Herson is going to be able to stabilize, which he is able to do for the most part, as he is a great mid laner in himself, but does actually have a tall order ahead of him for staying alive and not giving over any kills.
Yeah, he was enduring quite a bit on the Kayle pick. This time around, though, it's a very sound plan that could actually work out here for the side of Team 21. They blow open the mid lane. They get tons of priority, tons of free time for the LeBlanc to roam, and they just invest everything into the bot side, right? You play around this Caitlyn, you give her the resources you shift her around the map, you play the siege style, and you could actually find yourself with a lot of money in your pocket by the 20-minute mark for the side of Team 21. They can absolutely find their path to victory through that, through play around the mid jungle,
That's right.
and then investing in their bot side. And the best part is, look at the top side for Team 21. It's a guarantee, right? He's almost self-sufficient on his own. You can leave him on whatever island you want. You can let him catch waves for endlessly, and he will still be useful once you get to that mid game. We love how tenacious Garen is, how he can just face check into Baron sometimes and really not, give
Walk
any
right
respect
back
to
in.
the enemies. Yeah, to walk right back out like nothing happened. He has that ultimate as well to provide executes in team fights. He can work with little income, and I'm thinking that might just be the plan here for Team 21.
Yeah, we'll have to watch for that. And just while we have just a bit of time before we do throw it to a break, I kind of just want to touch on Jamaican Banana and how he is actually really capable to roam on a champion like Fiddlesticks. And that's something we actually do see with this team is they leave Blake on a bit of an island. He does have to teleport to actually get himself back towards lane like he did in that last game here.
Right.
And that's just something that we might see going in towards this one, playing with Seeking LCS, playing with Hurston to make sure that they aren't trying to shut his mid laner down and that he's still going to be relevant when they get to that mid stage. And it's very likely that that could be the case, or he might just stand toe to toe with this Morgana Caitlyn that we would usually expect just to be so strong and so good, because it just takes one binding, one trap for you to able to layer that CC. And if that is on someone like a Fiddlesticks, well, he's just gonna pop like a balloon if you land that combo on him. So certainly things we're gonna have to watch out for. But also, just a reminder, guys, before we do throw it away, make sure you guys do actually head over towards Cactus GG for as far as signing up for a charity tournament that will be going live on, I believe it is November 11th, if I'm not mistaken. And make sure you guys do head over to there. I believe November 3rd, actually, and 2nd, as that will be where the tournament's going to be hosted. Extra Life Charity Tournament. Again, it is an actual funding for Children's Miracle Network hospitals there. Brings gamers together. Make sure you guys raise some money for that. The goal is going to be $1,000 at the very least. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to smash that. Check the chat there for the link to be able to donate if you are feeling generous. It would be very much appreciated, and of course go to a great cause. But for now, guys, we're gonna get ready to set up our game number 2. Don't touch that browser. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Risen Champs League Week 4. God Squad up 1-0 in the series over Team 21, who are trying to force that game number 3 to keep that flawless record here throughout this season. But it's not going to be an easy task because there is some comfort champions on a few of these players. Here's Switch on the side of God Squad, so they're going to make them work for it.
It absolutely is going to be a lot of work here for the side of Team 21 signature champions, I might say, because seeking LCS on the Lee Sin, it's terrifying stuff. I mean, just speaking about that tournament that we casted yesterday, that was 3 games straight. Seeking LCS on the Lee Sin, put the enemy jungler to Pound Town, my guy. Like that was nice stuff.
He absolutely did. Played very well. Looking to now have a repeat performance to close out game number 2 in the Hot 2-0 week in week number 4. This time around, not going to have any kind of a cheeky invade off the start. However, it looks like there is going to be no invade on Cuz here on this red buff, which I'm sure he's going to be happy about. Of course, seeking LCS not having the best of that in towards our last game here. He's actually going to be starting Leashless on the blue here in the top side. So really trying to throw off where he's going to be started on the map here, and you gotta kind of like this because this kind of just creates that question mark of, well, we have no idea where he is, and you have to play a little bit safe in all of your lanes almost.
Quite interesting, as the junglers now hitting their camps. You do have Cuz on the Jarvan hitting those Krugs. Could take a trip very early on to the Renekton if he so chooses, but aside from that, I think you just want to hit your next buff as quickly as possible. Now, touching on this bot side, you know what? We have casted this bot lane matchup before. You know why? Because I remember mentioning that brush control is so important for both these champions. The Morgana and the Fiddlesticks really do need to utilize that Fog of War, but especially the Fiddlesticks, right? Because he can be quite squishy at times. So it's going to be tough, especially with the Caitlyn as well, with all that range. Might get hard to walk up onto brushes, but I think he can manage as... Oh,
Conquerors.
Man.
They're already going at it and getting a little bit dangerous. Undefeated one looking to get that level 3. That's when that very important Renekton power spike is going to come into play, as that's going to be the Crow thrown out, but not going to find anyone this time. Hurston's going to hit with the chain. Ignite's actually going to be coming down. He is potentially dead here. Ignite's going to take down. That's the first blood, but in the bottom we got a
Jarvan.
Jamaican Banana has to flash away, but Cuz is going to follow up, seeking LCS, looking to land that Sonic Wave. Is he's going to be able to? Gibbs is going to just take the distortion over the wall. Still potentially able to go for one. Jump back to the distortion. Should be a-okay, I do believe. I think he's going to walk this one out.
Yeah, looks like he's going to get out to safety on that. Actually, seeking LCS is still hanging around, but just not able to really land Sonic Waves that he needs to land. So quite unfortunate, but off to a 2-0 start. Nice stuff from Team 21.
That's right.
As that was literally just a solo kill from Gibbs. Just smooth sailing on the LeBlanc thus far.
Yeah, I said it early on in the draft, how important that could be. Undefeated one, looking to take matters into his own hands here in the top side, but getting chunked out fairly low himself. Seeking LCS has found Cuz on the Raptor camp, and well, the whole team is here to back him up, but that's a nice flag and drag, and actually that's going to be enough to close the distance. Gibbs could be in trouble, but the distortion will get him away. He's going to have to dodge this flag and drag. Going to be out, and he's going to get himself away. 4 members collapse, but they do not find Cuz in the jungle.
Man, can you believe that, dude? Like, it's almost like Lee Sin Q is the same cooldown as Flag and Drag, but that really does not make sense. So, interesting stuff overall, Cuz once again sliding his way on out of there, and you get no punishment here for the side of Team 21. They're staying very much on point. Bot side even did accrue a bit of a CS advantage because remember, Blake on the Xayah was rotating over to that mid side, so smart stuff overall. Gibbs even landed the damage down 1 chain, but no mana.
He might actually die here.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
First,
all right.
He's gonna find that. Gibbs has no mana and no ignite. He does not reset on the map yet, and well, Hurston's just actually gonna pick up a massive solo kill there for himself, which was pretty much given there for free there by Gibbs.
That's unlucky stuff, perhaps, or just not really watching the blue bar at the bottom. But either way, you're definitely appreciating that if you're Hearthstone. And God Squad in general, you want your Orianna Shockwave to be as strong as possible. And, well, that's one way to boost it up.
Even opting for the Darksteel here, and 2 stacks gonna go a long way with those corruption potions that have been picked up here, and has that advantage now over top of Gibbs, who's going to be coming back towards the mid lane. The Infernal Dragon, well, that's going to be the first dragon of the game. After getting 3 in our last game, it just makes sense that we have a 4th in the first dragon coming in towards game number 2. So likely high priority for that. Teleport's also still available for both top laners. So that is something to note if a fight does break out in that bot side.
Speaking of bot side, we do have Cuz hanging around that bot side as well. But looks like he's getting pinged out, stepping on a ward. That's what's going to happen. But the top side, oh,
we didn't pop the Dominus! Oh no!
Gonna
pick up a solo kill there. A bit of a misplay from Undefeated One, not calculating the damage there. And that's going to result in a pretty big kill there for that Garen in that Renekton matchup. And now they're actually setting up for a dive, but Seeking LCS is here. Just a little bit risky. I don't think that this would go their way. And
Teleport.
I think they're just going to back out, but Teleport is coming through from Undefeated One. He needs to make a play happen here. He does have the Dominus this time around, but there's summoners available all around the board. It's going to be a flash onto Kaylin. It's going to be enough to find Fio. It is. They're going to take down one, takes down 2, and now the Infernal Dragon likely going to be the target and where they're going.
Yeah, it's exactly it, Visions. The Infernal Dragon has actually spawned here on the bot side, and it could not pick a better time for God Squad to make a play as well. Beautiful punishment. The Dominus did end up getting popped at the end of the day. It was just all 200 IQ stuff coming out from God Squad. No, fortunate stuff, I will say, from God Squad, because that was about to be a very strong early game coming out for Team 21. This Infernal Drake, once again, it's one very much near and dear to the hearts of God Squad fans and God Squad players alike. So you're definitely appreciating that one. And it's going to help you do what you do best. Oh, wow. That timing was impeccable.
That was beautifully done here. Fighting goes wide.
Jesus.
Will actually be Squee, who does find and takes that kill. But a nice pick there from the jungler on the side of Team 21 to find that opening now on Jamaican Banana.
Picture perfect. Frame perfect timing on that one. So very well played from Cuz. Earns himself a bit of a kill, and we're still neck and neck for the most part, all things considered.
Well, a bit of a closer early game. Last time it exploded out of control. This time around, we'll see if Team 21 are able to stabilize, but a nice kick! That's going to result in Fio in some trouble. The flash from Blake is going to be enough, but Seeking LCS does find the kill. This one might go over to Seeking LCS again, as he just needs to secure the flash comes through, but you can't flash autos there, Squee. That will be a double coming through there for the man himself, Seeking LCS, as top laners, they're going toe-to-toe, starting to grind it out here. Now they're back away.
I mean, I'm still left in awe from that kick from Seeking LCS. Beautiful stuff. Able to knock up 2, and that, man, if my jungler did that, like, he would absolutely get the honor post-game. But the Blades now on the mind here for the side of God Squad. They're trying to get work done, and it's looking to be happening on 2 of the 3 lanes right now. Another Blade.
Oh, this looks good.
Yeah, it did, actually. Okay. Even Ignite and Flash available for Gibbs, but just wanted to take his time with this one. You would assume, though, one more trade, and Hearthstone is looking to be on the edge of his seat right here.
Yeah, you called it.
Oh,
that's the flash there for the Ignite. That was actually the flash there from Gibbs as well, so both summoners were used. And for the most part, Hearthstone actually has been having the shove and control over the mid lane here, chipping away, even getting a plate there over the LeBlanc. So overall, I think things are going a-okay for him. He does go flash for flash, but he now has a teleport to get himself back to lane if he needs to. But the wave is jumping in his favor, and he's actually going to be TPing to the bot side. But look at this. Top lane gank is going to be making a play. And they're going to now back away. Hearthstone is going to be coming in. The shockwave, unfortunately, does not find it. Now still pressing to see if they can get him, but Undefeated One gets taken down. Seeking LCS, looking to back up his mid laner. Cuz will fall. Hearthstone grabs the second of the game. This one might go over to Hearthstone again. It does. The double collected for the man himself. Now sitting on 3 kills after that TP play.
And again, you have to admire just the persistence of God Squad. They do not let you take anything. They will fight you for every single play that you try and make. And it works out here once again. 2 for 1 on the top side. You get Herson now able to get perhaps a bit of gold plating in the top tower as well.
It's a big wave.
Now, all the meanwhile too, you're actually starting up the Rift Herald here. We'll see if Gibbs is actually able to spot this out.
Wow, look at this gold going over to Hurston. 2 plates, a massive wave that no one is actually going to be able to absorb. So just a lot of advantages now as a 1K gold lead sitting in the hands of God Squad, starting to transition in towards that early to mid game here. Pretty well, and you've mentioned it, Switch. That's the Rift Herald. Plating still available for another 3 minutes, and that's likely going to be maybe going in towards the mid lane here, but it's certainly probably going to be dropped for that 14-minute mark.
Yeah, it absolutely got to be. You can expect that much, and now the side of Team 21 really just have to be ready for wherever the push formulates for God Squad. I would actually love it in the bot side. I would just love to end the Caitlyn lane phase here, and it looks like God Squad wants to do that as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's the case. Blake should be able to grab it pretty freely, and you talked about that in the draft. That Fiddlesticks Crowstorm pops out of nowhere, great engaged, and does a good amount of damage, and they're going to find another pick here on towards the Caitlyn.
And top
talking about picks. This could be a nice play. Looking for that kick, potentially. Does he need to use it? He is going to invest it in. Well, Next got nowhere to go. Sonic Wave isn't even going to be followed up, and Undefeated One is going to now grab himself yet another kill.
There's the Herald dropping down. It's going to be a devastating push in the top side. No response. The response, rather, here in the bot side. 21 trying to get something in return. Could not find their way on top of Jamaican Banana. And that's just beautiful stuff. The top side destroyed. And the gold lead now ballooning in favor for God Squad.
Yeah, this is what we see from time to time. Gibbs is actually trying to force a play in the mid lane here. He feels like he has to, but the trade is just going to go the way of Hurston. He's coming off of 3 kills and finds a solo on the LeBlanc, and now the LeBlanc's starting to fall extremely far behind. Hurston taking over the mid game.
I really wish I just had a replay of that 1v1 in specific. If you ever look at the replay, look at the positioning of Hurston. He's always in between a minion when it comes to Gibbs, and that means Gibbs cannot land a chain. Huge amount of DPS lost for the LeBlanc, and it was just easy stuff from there. Hurston, what a performance being put on from him. He turns back around one of the problem lanes here in the early game, and now with the second dragon secured here for God Squad, it's just looking to be going all in their favor now.
Yeah, doing God Squad things. When they get themselves the lead, they slowly start to take over. Team 21, do have some team fighting left in their pocket, but they still need so much gold to be able to come on to some of these carries. The Caitlyn very far behind, does have the Infinity Edge at the moment, but still a little bit behind towards Blake, who's sitting on a lot of gold, just has not spent it. Some more plating now is going to go their way, as Garen's just trying to hold the line, seeking LCS behind them. The rest of the team, though, is looking to collapse, and they might be able to look for a play, as seeking LCS realizes he needs to get himself out, and he will be able to without a problem, as now the bot lane is just going to play safe.
Yeah, that's much appreciated from Jamaican Banana, the presence of mind to just save his Lee Sin from that one. So smart stuff. They don't get collapsed on. And honestly, I love the bot lane, the Xayah Fiddlesticks versus Garen. Like, the Garen can really do nothing, because his entire strategy is running in, and the fear makes you do the opposite. That's a beautiful fear right into the shockwave, but spell shielded.
Oh, he goes back in, and Gibbs actually gonna have to flash away, but he has started up the fight. Oh, Seeking LCS is just gonna find him there, takes him down with the auto, but that's
the Crowstorm
doing so much damage. That might be a kill on towards Guz. Ignite taking down, Seeking LCS. He's gonna find the double, but he dies. The triple comes through for him. The slice and dice from Undefeated One as he's gliding in towards the back line. Oh, the Feather. One more Q will do it, and that will be enough, as that will be an ace coming through for God Squad here at 14 minutes and 30 seconds. That was even without the 80 carry.
Yeah, all out of nowhere, all hell broke loose, and it comes down to going in favor for God Squad. What an insane team fight. So many big plays coming out. Even when the shockwave was negated, just plays all over the place. I especially love Seeking LCS right before he died. He was able to execute Cuz, I believe, with a Sonic Wave, and It's just so beautiful to look at. Jamaica Banana as well. What an efficient Crow Storm, and that really does seal up team fights sometimes. And now, as we progress further into the game, another tower taken down, 3-0 in terms of the tower score, and you're just expecting it to get easier and easier from here on out for the side God Squad. So the real question is, what is Team 21 able to do about this? Because here's my problem. They will eventually start to fall off, right? The LeBlanc has not gotten rolling as much as you would have liked. The Garen laning phase is over, so you got to wait quite a while before he really can do more with the gold in his pocket right now. And I don't know. I'm having a hard time imagining a winning team fight right now for Team 21 because God Squad has so many crucial ultimates that can just turn around the team fight on their own. The Crow Storm, the Shockwave, even seeking LCS, he's had remarkable dragon kicks that have made quick work of ganks.
That's right. Like the micro has certainly been online for them, and even the macro. They have so many different options. They can take the 5v5. They have the shockwave. They have Wades with the ball delivery from the Lee Sin, who's already been finding these massive dragon rages onto some of these very important champions on the side of Team 21. And even if they want to go for a split here with the Renekton undefeated one, certainly could look to do that, especially when that next item does come through for him. And so many great things that you have to talk about here for God Squad, but a lot of pressure now on the hands of Team 21, trying to force this game number 3 drastically behind in gold tier 6,000. Baron is still not on the table. It almost feels like it should be due to the amount of pressure and control they have on the map here, but we'll have to wait another 3 minutes.
Right. It feels like we're already 22 minutes in because God Squad, they seem to have all of their lanes online by now, but we are actually only at the 17-minute mark. One thing's for certain, though. You do have to ask more from the Jarvan and the LeBlanc duo. With so much potential that they have in their hands, you're really just expecting them to be on the forefront, to be making the plays that can enable their team to win out on team fights. So eyes really on them as the next dragon is getting very close to spawning. It's another cloud, so not the end of the world if you lose out on this one, but won't feel good either, will it, Visions?
I don't think so. It's looks like this might not feel very good either. Could look to go for that potential pick, but did not have anyone close enough near him. And now just going to see some resources go the way of God Squad. Blake's going to grab himself that red buff, sitting on 1 item. So does not have that second Zeal item completed just yet, but is sitting on 1,300 gold. It looks like now they're just going to take what's free on the map, and well, it looks like that will be a second Cloud Dragon that's free for them.
Let's just say that was like an insurance Crow Storm, just in case.
Just saying hello, There's no big. I guess they got the dragon. It was a zoning. Ultimate switch. Make sure they get the air dragon, and well, they got it right. So
that's true. So super efficient Crow Storm. They actually got the dragon off of that.
Hell yeah, big brain. And now is going to lead his way in towards the jungle with the jungler, as they're going to start denying some of these camps. And this almost just feels like it's a waiting game for the Baron that we were talking about. That almost felt like it really should be up. And now we're a minute and 20 seconds away from that. We're starting to see them go in for some deep vision, set up that line. And, there's really only shallow vision available right now for Team 21, who's struggling to be able to clear this out. And looks like the tier 2 is just going to fall. So this is a nice rotation, and they're going to grab another tower here before they likely reset before that Baron does come back up.
Oh, Gibbs
goes in. Does have the black shield though, but does force the Featherstorm out.
Right, you definitely appreciate that one. Now, I'll say though, Baron is still 50 seconds away, so you won't need that Featherstorm quite yet. As the waves are being cleared, this looks to be one of the big resets here for God Squad as they're getting ready to play thoroughly around this Baron spot. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Shallow is exactly how I would describe the vision here for Team 21. They are struggling to fully cover even their own jungle at this point, and especially around that Baron vision, you need more than just your jungle. You need as much as you can get, because every second that you don't have vision of the Baron is every second that God Squad could be attempting it, or could be just baiting it for a setup, right? The ball right now is in the court for God Squad, and this game is going to play out exactly how they want it to play out, unless Team 21 have anything to say about it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of like win conditions for them. Like it's like finding a pick, you know, realistically.
Right, it's only finding a pick. The Jarvan and the
Yeah.
LeBlanc have got to find something. No, that's not it.
Oh, I know. He's been in this situation so many times. He runs back in because he just
Yeah.
knows he's dead. Pops the heal, doesn't blow the flash there, but that's going to be maybe a potential pick they can use to break open some more objectives.
And it sucks as well. You're just trying to get farm as Caitlyn. And it's so hard to tell how far is too far, but apparently that far was too far, Visions, and now the mid lane tier 2 tower gonna be taken down. Seems like all the pieces being put into place for a remarkable Baron setup, but now it's going to be we're pushing into the bot side. This next tower seems to be on the menu for God Squad. The kick not gonna be there. Please do not kick him.
Yeah, wouldn't have done anything. A nice black shield coming through there from Squeed. But that's gonna be a lot of damage, and Fiddlesticks is going to pop.
There's a shockwave.
All coming through, not enough damage to find anything. There is some low health bars though on the side of Team 21, so do not want to opt in for anything more. They do at least find themselves a pick there, as that tower looks like it was going down regardless.
I think good stuff overall. You get even more gold into the pocket of Gibbs, which is exactly what you need. You just need as much gold as possible. And as the recalls come through, at the end of the day, look at the results. Another tower in favor for God Squad. They took the tier 2 bot, and all that's left is to really crack the code that is this Baron setup. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to focus on for God Squad. This next dragon doesn't even matter. And for Team 21, it really is all just about finding that opening. Maybe if they get themselves a good team fight, I could see a Cataclysm doing a lot of work.
Sure.
All the AoE that LeBlanc pumps out doing a lot of work. The only problem is they're going to be working on limited information.
Yeah, these team fights are going to be pretty hard, I imagine, for the most part. But like you said, a flank with the Cataclysm, and maybe then from the LeBlanc hitting from a few different angles might be enough to kind of keep the set of God Squad, you know, a little bit scattered and maybe panic a little bit during the fight. That's, you know, one of the few ways I see them winning it. But if it's the side of God Squad that are jumping on you first, if they're the ones that are engaging, it almost feels like the fight is just lost at that point in time. The Crow Storm, the kick, the Shockwave, taking LCS is going to take a good amount of LeBlanc damage there. And well, that's exactly what LeBlanc does. So overall, at least able to chunk up the jungler a bit here as they are now hovering all around this major objective.
It's actually a remarkably good stall. You half HP the enemy jungler, right? He's not going to feel too comfortable tanking that anymore, and you don't have a tank here as this 4-man for God Squad. But the Honey Fruit, at the end of the day, they're going to give him the HP he needs. The Baron is started, undefeated one, looking for a bit of blood himself.
Yeah, he's going to pop the Dominus. He has the Spear Shojin now up and alive. Kadek in some trouble. Does have that flash if he can get over the wall, but it might just be the follow. One's going to get one, but we have a fight in the jungle. That will be the jungler falling down for Team 21. Gibbs is just going to get deleted. Person finds him with the ball. 3 members are going to be taken off the map, and well, they can either look for the base or they can look for the Baron, and they're running towards the base.
And that's really how it does pan out sometimes all at once. Chaos strikes the side of Team 21. They are left just to defend this base as their inhibitor is being cracked open currently. The push will absolutely result in at least one inhibitor. It's just really all damage control from here for the side of Team 21.
Everything going the way of God Squad, looking to make themselves 2-2 in week number 4. The climb starts here, and well, they are starting to put things into effect. So they're just going to grab themselves 2 inhibitors. What? An 11,000 goal lead at 24 minutes is absurd here. And there is not too many windows back in towards this game if you're sitting on the side of Team 21, especially with that Baron still very much up on the map.
It's really almost too much to ask for at this point for the side of Team 21, right? Their top side is starting to fall off. The LeBlanc didn't get as strong as you would have loved. The Garen is just isolated and losing to undefeated one. So you're just hoping, maybe my Caitlyn was scaling to the game. She got no resources, right? She's like 0-5. She's been picked on by Jamaican Banana as a support player on Fiddlesticks. Is really the stuff of nightmares right now for her. There's just no leeway here. There's no leg room for plays to happen for the side of Team 21. It's almost demanding too much to ask them now to play around Baron when there's an enemy Fiddlesticks. There's an Orianna that could attach the ball to the Fiddlesticks. There's a Lee Sin. It's just so much. You have to play out of your mind now for the side of Team 21.
So many threats, and who's really going to do the constant DPS? I don't think it's going to be the Galen. Doesn't even having 2 items, not enough attack speed except for those Berserker Greaves here. Still so far behind to Blake, who almost has that Infinity Edge completed. 3 items. Xayah is a scary champion as they're just pushing them out of their own quadrant here in the top side. Struggling so hard. They don't even know if they're on the Baron. I believe Seeking LCS did just start that up, and looks like now they're going to make that rotation over. What do you have? The Crow Storm, the Shockwave, all of these massive AoE ultimates here. It just becomes so hard for you just to walk in and face check.
And in position right now is Jamaican Banana. He is the Tiger lying in wait, poised to strike. But first, it's Herson getting a huge chunk on the Gibbs.
And that's probably enough to force them away. It looks like
have successfully persuaded me, sir. I will be exiting the Baron premise.
Yeah, they do not want anything to do with it. And there it is. It goes down. The goal lead now almost 12,000 here. And, well, looks like Cuz is going to find himself a Renekton doing a good amount of damage, and will force him now to back as they're going to start sieging, getting themselves on the map. Well, Blake also just locked in that Infinity Edge and now has 3 items as they press for that last inhibitor.
Yeah, the final nail looking to be hammered into the coffin. That is a destroyed streak for Team 21. They were on a 2-0 in the first part of this season, but it's looking to be hitting their first loss here as they're down to their Nexus towers. The push is coming through, the super minions in numbers as well, and God Squad, they see the prize in their eyes.
They see it. Going for the 2-0 week in week number 4. As looks like some BM undefeated one. Just gonna be dropping some backs. The minions are just doing all the work. You either gotta go with a bang or you're gonna concede. And well, looks like they're just gonna pull the trigger on you. The Shockwave's gonna find one. That's gonna be 2 for 1. So far, actually, this is actually a fight God Squad is almost losing. And now we're gonna see the Crow Storm come through. Blake is very much strong with the minions so much in their favor. Blake is gonna pop that Feather Storm, takes another one down with them. They may have found a couple, but they did not pull the trigger fast enough. God Squad ended in game 2. Now have themselves 2-2 in week number 4.
And fantastic stuff from God Squad. We saw the score on paper. It's perhaps a bit shaky, but not this series. Not by a long shot. They look to be in control the entire time and look to be just a team of a different caliber than Team 21, unfortunately. Team 21, while they did have bright spots, thinking about the top lane and the mid lane, in this series, overall it really did not come together. It did not mesh as a cohesive unit, and it did not push back God Squad from taking the series.
Yeah, taking that series there in complete dominance. Got to give it over towards them. And I'm kind of looking at the MVP of the series here, Switch, and I actually almost kind of leaning towards the mid laner here for God Squad. I do think that he played that LeBlanc matchup especially well in game number 2, and Hurston also played extremely well in that Kale versus Pantheon matchup. Not getting those counter picks, saving them for the top laner, and still able to come out on top here and show what he's capable of doing here on some of these champions.
I had to absolutely agree with you, especially when I highlight one of his mechanical 1v1s. Like, this guy is a nut. You have got to be scared of Herson as the season progresses, but absolutely deserving of this MVP. And let's see, every single member looked to be so strong. That is one of the calls to fame that is God Squad, that they have such fantastically talented players. This time, it was Herson stepping up. Next game, you never know, right? Because it's so beautiful to see a team with so many bright spots to them. Jamaican Banana as well, though. I did enjoy his Fiddlesticks game at the very least. It was very nice to see, and not so nice to put yourself into the shoes of the Caitlyn player this game.
That's right. But either way, God Squad get themselves away with a win. Now trying to climb back to the top of the standings there, 2-2. Give Team 21 their very first loss here in this season for Risen Champs. But either way, it was a nice performance. Look forward to seeing this group play some more games throughout the rest of the season. But that's going to be it here from the broadcast team here from Risen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button in the top right-hand corner of your screen if you're not already following, so you can stay up to date for when we do go live with all of our leagues. And that will be it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next stream.